Morning, everyone, and welcome to today's interview with the lovely Sarah. Is it Wassell? Am I pronouncing it right? Because I'm always worried about getting Wassell. Sorry, so I wasn't pronouncing it. So Sarah Wassell from Marketing Matters.
Yes,
I've totally gone this morning. I'm just like, oh my goodness, what's going on? From Marketing Matters. So Sarah, how are you? And thank you for coming and joining us.
Yes, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, lovely.
Good. So we'll get straight into the interview because I'd really like you to have time at the end to speak about your Reboot Camp as well, because I've been following some of your posts on that and it looks really good. So without further ado, can you explain to us what exactly it is that you do?
Yes, well, people do actually ask me what a marketing coach does. So I normally sort of give my spiel, which is I'm a marketing coach and strategist, and I help motivated business owners to get unblocked and reach their ideal client and ditch the overwhelm, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. And how long have you been in business, Sarah?
This business, probably about 18 months, but I was doing consultancy before that. So rather than I was doing it for people rather than showing people how to do it for themselves as I am now.
Oh, okay. And where did the change come from?
Well, I've been in marketing on and off for about 25 years. And I had a bit of a break when I had children, but it was really when my youngest, who's going into year 8 now, when she goes back to school, when we started looking at senior schools for her, I kind of thought, gosh, what am I going to do for me? And I want something, a bit more meaty, and that's not just sort of part-time. So I started looking for jobs, and I found that whilst there were some good jobs out there, they weren't really going to fit within the family. And I still had the eldest at home. She was still doing her A-levels. And I thought, I can't just go and leave. I really need to be here at 3 o'clock when they come home from school. That's what I always wanted to do. I got offered a job, actually, that was 3 days a week in London, really good commute. Fantastic office. It was a WeWork office, and one of the main things that sold me the job was that you share, you have your own sort of office area. It was for a recruitment company doing marketing for them, and you shared this amazing sort of communal area with table tennis tables and snooker and nice chairs, and there was also a coffee bar, and I do love my coffee, and it was all free. But the best thing about it was that at 3 o'clock every day, the bar area opened. There was a communal bar, and they had Prosecco on tap.
I can see the attraction.
Who knew,
Sarah? I can see where you could be going with this.
Yeah, so I mean, I was really, really loving it, and I had about 3 interviews, and they offered me the job, but unfortunately, it went from 3 days a week to 4 days a week, and they were really long days because recruitment companies work, long hours.
Yeah.
And so I just had to turn it down because, whilst I kind of worked out with my husband how we would do the school run and who would be home and that sort of thing for the children, I couldn't justify 4 days being away from the kids.
Yeah.
So I had to turn it down, and that's when I thought, you know what, I've got to work for myself.
And that's quite common. I mean, I hear that. I mean, that's one of the reasons I went into business myself, and obviously during these the interviews that I've been doing, that's quite a common theme for us women, is the fact that there isn't anything that does work around the children time, even if you were doing 4 days a week, which I think people would be happy to do, because then you have a day to yourself to do all those things that you need to do. It's the actual times, and you're never there for your children for school run, sort of either end. And then actually that early morning, sorting out breakfast club or afternoon clubs or somebody or childminder or things, and then if your childminder kind of lets you down, it's all this stuff that you have to take into consideration, and that can cause stress in itself. More stress than sometimes it can be worth financially.
Yeah. Well, this is it. You have to kind of weigh it up, don't you? And I've always done something, even when I wasn't technically working. Yeah, I've done up a lot of houses that we've lived in, and I trained as an interior designer actually, just before I had my son. And and I thought, this is going to be the ideal career, that will work really well. I can sort my own hours out and so on. And it just didn't work like that. If I was doing up someone's house, they wanted it done yesterday. They didn't want it done part-time. So I was constantly on the phone. I was working long hours. I was watching my toddler sort of run around being ignored. And after that particular job finished on that house, I just said, I'm not going to do any more. And then we moved, and then I got pregnant with my daughter, and so that kind of chapter of my life ended. But I've always been busy. So if I'm not working in marketing or in interior design, I was doing up our own property or landscaping the garden or working for the school PTA. Yeah. So
always something going on.
Always something.
So what would you say was your biggest problem when it comes to moving forward in your business?
Oh, that's a good one. I think time. It's always going to be time for me. I've always got a massive to-do list. And balance, it is hard to balance everything, I think, for a woman. If you do, want to be at home and available for your kids. And some people don't want to do that. They want to get out, they feel that they have that need to be in business. But it's always about balance for me. I have to be able to do both.
And how do you find that? Have you found that balance at any time?
Yes, I think now I'm quite good at it. And I did have a coach sort of this time last year, and she helped me to realise that actually my time and doing stuff for me is just as important as making sure everybody else is okay.
Putting yourself to the top of the pile actually filters down all the way to actually a more harmonious fate. And I don't think it's till you sort of realise that and start trialling that you realise the effects that it has just by sort of turning everything on its head, rather than you being at the bottom of the pile, you being at the top of the pile. I mean, I had to do that for myself many sort of years ago. And I have happier children, a happier me, a happier husband, and just external environment as a result of that. And it is really important. That's always is a good balance to have, and it's a good learning. It is a good learning.
Yeah, it does take time though, I think, and as you say, it becomes easier when you commit to it and you do it. I mean, I had a lot of early morning starts sort of this time last year when I was just starting, but I was so motivated to get on and do it, that I loved it. But it's certainly when the kids are at school, let's hope to God that they go back soon.
I'm counting on September the 3rd.
You've got to be quite regimented, and I think if you carry that forward into your business, and you don't feel guilty about sitting in the garden just listening to the breeze with a coffee, because it's not you doing nothing. I get my best ideas when I'm just sitting there thinking, or in the shower, or it's that quiet time when you actually have chance to reflect that you get your best ideas, I think. So I mean, I take a proper lunch break. I do sort of stop every few hours and have a wander around, maybe walk the dog. And and that's really important for your overall mindset, I think, isn't it?
And also the thing is, it actually makes you more productive rather than less productive, because you have been able to clear your mind, and like you say, you have those ideas flow so much better when actually you're not sitting there. When we sit in sort of like the same environment all the time, I mean, I don't know about you, but sometimes I just move my working environment, whether it be into a different room, or when we weren't in lockdown, like go to the gym and work from there, because it's just a different environment, a different sort of frame of mind can really make a big difference to how productive you are, doesn't it? And a morning routine. I've always been big on morning routine. It's like a military operation in my house.
Yeah, how do you find it though when it's school holidays? Because that's always tricky, isn't it? Because everything is on its head.
We're much more relaxed in the holidays. So the holidays are more kind of like weekend. But if we're going anywhere, so if we say like tomorrow we know we're going somewhere, I always prepare them. So they will always know that, right, tomorrow we need to get up, get dressed, have breakfast and do our morning routine so that we can get out the door.
Yes.
And we normally have a conversation of what we're doing this week, what we're doing in the next couple of days. So we sort of run through what that might be. And then there's some days where we might just go, right, okay, girls, do you fancy going here this afternoon? And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, go, right, come on then, go and get ready. And they'll go and do it. But otherwise mornings, they're quite lazy if they're not doing anything. But that's okay. That's okay too. It's it's a balance for them as much as it's like ourselves, don't we? It's like if they're rushing about doing stuff for a couple of days, they then need a day just to go, the same as we do.
Yeah, exactly. And some days you're out and some days you're in, and that's fine. And I think I've become a lot more relaxed about how things, I hate the word should, how things are, because there's no kind of, we should be doing this, we should be doing that, because all I want at the end of the day is to be able to do what I'm doing, but also have happy children.
Yeah. Should is one of those words that actually belongs to other people. Yeah. Because we associate should with, we should be doing that because that's what someone else is doing, or we should be doing that because that's what somebody else says. So it's a kind of, it's a could rather than a should.
Yeah, and everybody's
about
different,
us,
aren't they? And I mean, that's what I say to my clients. And I did a post this morning actually, which basically said, it's not a cookie cutter experience when you have a coach, is it? Because everybody is different. Everybody needs something different. They need the push. They all need the push. They need the motivation. They need someone to help them focus on their progress. Again, I always say focus on progress, not perfection, because that's another word I have.
Yes.
And I think accountability also, that sometimes puts people off, doesn't it? Because they think, oh my God, she's going to stress me out. I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to do that. And I don't talk as much about accountability as perhaps other coaches do, because what I want to do is help people move forward, even if it's just a little bit. It's that mindset thing, isn't it? I think there's a lot of mindset that has to come into the marketing coaching element as well.
Yes, yeah. So on that, what mindset issues do you know you've had or still have at the moment that are holding you back in your business journey?
I think we all do a bit of self-sabotage, don't we? And I'm not good enough, lack of self-belief. But I think early on, I did a lot of work on that. And I've got, lots of books behind me here that I read and I still read. And again, it's about that growth mindset and understanding why we stop ourselves because of the fixed mindset, and knowing that, with growing comes a little bit of fear and trepidation. But again, that's good. But I still get sometimes when I think, oh, that should have gone better, or that could have gone better. Or I'm harder on myself than perhaps I should be. And I recently actually qualified as an accredited coach.
Well done, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. So I did quite an intensive course during lockdown. And I was really nervous. I mean, I barely slept the night before we had our assessments. And I passed with flying colours. And I was just so chuffed with myself, because I just thought, you can do things when you really apply yourself, and you put yourself out of your comfort zone. So I was doing things to challenge my mindset and holding me back. And I do tend to have quite a lot of ideas and go forward with them. So again, it just comes back to time. I have got a tech VA that I use sometimes, and I'm looking at getting
they are a send.
Yeah, I'm looking at getting a VA now. Yeah, I'm looking at getting a VA so I can give them all the little bits and pieces that, again, is going to make my life easier and do what I'm good at, because I'm not very good at admin, really. It doesn't bring me joy. Let's put it that way. It doesn't bring me joy.
Yeah, no, I think, I do think you have to be a certain way. And I do think, obviously, when you're running your own business, there is your areas of genius. There is your areas of willing to look to learn and overcome. And then there are areas that you are just like, no, it's just not going, it's not going to happen. So, and that's why there's other people who have these other strengths in other businesses that can take that all away, like VA fairies and tech fairies.
Yeah.
So I like
but I think you kind of have to go through it, don't you? You have to try. I'm a trier, and I like to try things myself. And I could take a day doing something that would take someone else a couple of hours, but at least I know my way around it, and then I'll offload it.
Yes, I'm the I've done a few things where I've done it the other way around. So I've had a tech VA set up like my Thinkific for my courses, because I looked at it, and to start off, it was just like, oh my God, I don't understand any of it. This is just way beyond. So she set it all up for me, put all the course on it to start off with. Now I can amend and add bits to the course and stuff myself, because the framework's been put there. So I've been able to learn the simpler bits, because it's not a blank canvas where I'm just going, I haven't got got a clue.
That's good to do, isn't it? Because you can kind of copy and paste what they've done.
Yeah, and you can work it out from what they've done. And also, if you make a boo-boo, you can go, oh, I think I've done something wrong. Can you put it right again?
Yes, knowing your strengths, definitely, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So what do you want your business to look like in a year's time, Sarah?
I think I'd obviously like it to be busier than it is now. I've actually been really busy in lockdown, funnily enough. First bit of it, I was planning, and I think everyone was kind of getting to grips with everything, and I didn't sell because I didn't feel it was a good time, pertinent time to be doing that with so much, in the air. But June and July have been my best months so far.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
So I think this has given people more time to then think about, right, okay, with everything that's gone on, I now need to get my marketing and my message really clear as we're sort of coming out the other side, to be ready to go. Definitely.
Yeah. And I'd like to continue helping people. I think that's what inspires me, is because I help people and I motivate them. And I had a lady come on the first call this week, and she was like, oh, I've been really waiting to speak to you, and I can't wait to get started. And it's just so nice, because you're helping, as a coach, when you help people unlock what they need to work on, it's really, really good. And again, as a coach, you're helping them find the answers to the questions, and they had those answers already. You just need to draw them out, don't you?
And a lot of the time you sort of know the answer, but then when they then come up with it themselves, and you just see their brain, you see all the cogs going. It's
and that's the difference, isn't it, between between a mentor and a coach? Because I guess I wavered a bit, and I think that's maybe why I didn't call myself a marketing coach until only just recently, in fact, even though that's really what I wanted to do. And I've got a vision board up here. That's my kind of inspiration, general home stuff. And then opposite here is my vision board for what I want to do. And I wrote in 2014, can you believe, that I wanted to do something coaching wise. And I've got a little sort of, it's just really weird, things I want to do, sort out the garden, because we got married a few years ago and we had a big garden party, and all these things that were like long-term goals, and coaching was one of them. And I didn't really know in what form. I just knew that it's something that I wanted to do. And I think it's really, really interesting that I wrote that down as one of my big goals. So having just done this coaching course, I've learned that if you ask the right questions, people will come up with the answers.
Absolutely, yeah.
As opposed to, you should do this, or you could do that, or have you thought of this? And I think it's only when you go through that coaching motion and the training that you learn
the power. You do learn the power of a powerful question. Yeah.
And you really see the difference in people, don't you?
Yeah, and helping people to think differently. Yeah. And you just ask a question that people are like, oh, actually, do you know what? I've not even thought of that. Like the question I've got here about how people want their business to look like in a year's time. People look a lot at their sort of long-term goals. So that, you know, it's a classic question: where do you want to be in 5 years' time? Which is good. We do need to look at that, but in order to get to that, we need to look at where we also want to be in a year's time, in a shorter time frame. And that question throws people, and they're like, actually, do you know what? I need to think about that. Yeah. I do need to think about the short term in 12 months' time.
Yeah, I mean, I do plan ahead quite a lot. And I'm thinking, you know, now of what I'm doing in September and the rest of the year, but also next year. Because again, you know, when you're marketing your business, you've got to be strategic, you've got to plan. And I think that's something that people don't always want to do, because it might seem boring, or it might seem daunting, or it might seem, you know, unachievable. But when you start to really focus on what you can do, then I think it's, you know, it's actually quite inspirational. So I'm planning, and I'm, you know, hoping to be in a better position than I am now, with more clients and more offloading, you know, as I said, all that I'm not great.
So what steps do you need to take, or you have already taken, to move towards that, to move the business forward?
Yeah, it's all very well planning, but unless you take the action, then nothing's going to change, is it? So for me, it's keeping on top of the actions. I always work quite well to a deadline, and I know that I will just bang it out, you know, and it will be done. So I give myself deadlines. And then I'm always thinking, so that in that way, I'm always thinking about what I need to be doing and mulling it over and working out what's the best way to do it. And then I give myself a deadline to, you know, put those things into action. And I have got, you know, a coach that I work with as well. And so she keeps me accountable, which is good.
Yes, we all need. I do think that is important. We do. We all need somebody sort of a little bit sort of behind us going, right, okay, have you done that? Okay, well, or no, I haven't. Okay, well then why? What is it? Do we need to address it? Do we need to change it? Is the goal right? And to ask those questions. So with all of that in mind, so what advice do you have for other members of the group when it comes to business?
I would just say, you know, go for it. Whatever you're thinking of doing, go for it. Because you never know what's around the corner, and, you know, trust in, like I said about me writing the coaching thing down, trust your gut, you know, and if you think you've got it, or if you know you've got a passion or something that you're good at, and you've got a lot of knowledge in it, then share it, you know, because there's always someone out there that wants to learn from you.
Yes, and I think that's a really important thing, because we all have those kind of fears, don't we? The visibility fears, and, you know, who wants to hear from me? Who wants to know? But you want to know it. You know it. You have an interest in it. So there are going to be people out there who also have an interest in it and want to know your perspective on it. So it's like somebody could turn around and tell you the same thing 4 times, but somebody might else come to it and just tell it to you in a different way that actually you connect with or understand a bit more, and you're going to remember them probably over them. And we sort of forget that. I think we forget our uniqueness, don't we?
Yeah, this is it. And I worked with someone probably a month or so ago, and she'd got into this mastermind group, and we ascertained that actually she shouldn't really have done that, because she wasn't on the same level, and this mastermind group wasn't set up brilliantly. But she was learning bits and pieces from it. But then somebody had sort of said to her, you know, you need to say what's better about you, what's better about your business, why would someone want to work with you? And she was really struggling with that. And because she said, oh, well, I don't want to consider myself as better than anyone.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, well, let's think about how we could, look at that differently. And what's different about you?
Yeah.
And
sometimes it's just the words, because there's words that make people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. And that was that.
I worked with a client whose the word niche was uncomfortable. Okay, let's not use that word then.
Yeah.
Let's use another word that you're more comfortable with, that will actually unlock that. So then that can start to flow, and you can start coming up with those different things. Sometimes it's just the words that people are uncomfortable with, and we don't have to use them.
No, and she totally, lit up then and sort of changed her perception of herself and of her business, and said, well, because I said, you are the difference. You are what's different about your business, and and the way that you work and what your passions are. And it was for her quite a niche area that she was doing. And I said, the more that you talk about that, the more you're going to draw your ideal clients to you. And it's brilliant when you see someone light up and then get really interested and inspired. And that's what we look for, isn't it, as being a coach?
Oh yeah, absolutely, definitely. And then see them taking action on it.
Yeah. And moving them forward. I mean, I love it when, someone says to me, well, I've got my action points from last week and I've done this, and this, and they're really pleased with themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It is. It's good, because it's good. It makes everybody feel good, doesn't it? It gives you that buzz of feel good, and them as well, knowing that you're helping them move in the right direction and seeing them flourish.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, Sarah, can you tell us a little bit about your Reboot Camp that you are running?
Yes, well, it's actually started now for August, but I am going to do another one in September, because quite a few people said, August wasn't a great time for them. So Reboot to a Better Marketing You is what it's called, and it does what it says on the tin. I think because we've all had a bit of a crappy, first 6 months of the year. I want to try and help people to finish strong in 2020, which we can. And really it just covers all of the elements that you need to think about in your business. And I focus on a model that I've devised, which is called M.O.S.T. And it stands for, the M stands for mindset and mission. The O stands for the outcomes and your own journey. And the S stands for strategy and structure of your business. And the T stands for tactics and testing. And what I do is I go through all of those areas with people in a group, and I've limited it to 20 people in each group, because it's almost like a sort of small classroom size, and then I can give attention to everybody. I'm not one of these guru type people who has hundreds of people in their group, and you feel like you never get any sort of one-on-one time. And I just ask questions around those 8 areas. And as you say, asking the questions opens people's eyes to what they need to focus on for themselves. So it's not like me saying, you should do this, you should think about strategy, you should think about, your structure, you should, obviously all of those things are covered, but it's how you look at those unique to your business.
Yeah.
And
and then, is it a month? Is it a month boot? Is it a month boot camp?
It's 5 weeks.
Right, okay.
So, and it is, I don't like doing things in a week, because I think you don't have enough time to process. So I didn't do a week boot camp. I think you need to, it's like exercise, isn't it? If you did it every day for a week, you'd be exhausted, you'd be burnt out. It wouldn't be good for your body. Same thing with, learning anything new. I think, if you have a week in between, then you can sort of process what you've thought about, and you can work on it. And so by the end of it, what you actually come out with is a really fantastic understanding of your business and what it is you need to be doing, and the actions you need to be taking to move your business forward and to grow.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think
there's another one starting in September.
I've just thought, actually, while we've been talking, actually, just of question, so I apologize if I've caught you on the hop with this one, but what is your sort of top tip for simple marketing that's sort of most effective?
Well, first of all, you've got to look at your ideal client, who you're targeting. I think, we do talk a lot about ideal client, but unless you know who you're talking to, you're not going to know how to position your messaging or your content, whatever you call it. Your voice and what you say. You're not going to know how to do that if you haven't thought about your ideal client. And again, it does put some people off because they think, oh, I'm not sure, and I don't want to be too niche. But it's through talking that we ascertain, who that is. And then from that, that's when you can work on a simple plan of putting stuff out there and getting people to know, like, and trust you. Again, something that's probably been heard hundreds of times, but it's only when you really understand what that means in terms of your content and your messaging that you can start to really to build a marketing plan. So you've got to know your ideal client. You've got to know how you're helping them with what. And your offers. So you need to have obviously your offers or your services. And then it's how you get that to them. And then there's all the other mechanisms that, will make that life easier, that business life for you easier. But just really sort of, putting a top sort of 5 goals of what you want to achieve and actually committing to them is a really useful place to start. Yeah. Because if you said, I want 10,000 followers on Instagram by the end of next year, I'd say, okay, well, tell me more about that. What it is, what is it that you think you need 10,000 followers for? And then they would say, so I can sell this, that, and the other. So, but then what you need to realize is that those 10,000 followers could be completely pointless.
Wrong ones.
If they're not going to be, if they don't want your product, if they are not your ideal customer. So it's looking at what the goals that you want and whether or not they're realistic and focused enough.
Yeah, and looking at the numbers, but making sure the numbers are the right numbers. And I think that's where sometimes, I think, especially when we start out, it is a numbers game. Some of it
is. Yeah.
But it's about getting the right numbers. So, you're better off having a small group of your ideal client than having all these thousands and thousands of people who will probably never sort of buy from you.
Yeah, ever. And actually that's quite soul destroying, isn't it, in a way? Because you think, well, I've got all these people, so why aren't they buying? Whereas you might have got some bad advice in the first place. You need to do this, you need to do that. When in actual fact, as you say, it's much better to grow that small best audience and people that will have things in common with you and will say, oh, I'm looking forward to you talking about this, that, and the other, as opposed to just hundreds of people that were just scrolling past you.
Yeah, but but I do understand for a lot of people that it is quite difficult, isn't it? And to commit to that niche. But
I think
people will come to you. Other people will come to you, and I think it's just making it clear that it's about it making your messaging easier. It makes your marketing so much easier if you are addressing, like you're having a conversation like we are, sort of one to one, and you're talking to one person. So that's a kind of mindset thing, isn't it? Is a kind of, you're thinking about, you're just talking to one person, although you are still talking to
and in actual fact, that's the other thing that I would say is that start my number one tip would probably be to start your email list as early as you can, and pick. I've just gone through this with a new client. Pick one thing as a lead magnet that you think that people will be interested in. Try it, see what happens. Build that email list. Just get a free MailerLite account or MailChimp, or pay £10 a month and actually have something which you can use, because you can't do anything if you haven't got an audience to sell to.
Yeah.
And people think, oh, I've got social media and I've got this and I've got that, but until you've got that email address, you can't start that nurturing sequence and that relationship. And, you know, you really need to have an email list.
Yeah.
As soon as you can.
Warm, because they're warm, aren't they? They're what you class as a warm lead, aren't they? Rather than you can have social media, you can have loads of different followers and people on your page, but they're cold, they're not warm, are they?
Yeah. No, exactly. And I do say this to people right at the beginning, is you need to think about your email list. I've got a lady who has only got an Instagram page. She hasn't got a website. And she said, oh, you know, I'm getting likes and people are sort of, you know, commenting on things. And I said, well, that's fantastic. Now what you need to do is get their email addresses so that when you are ready to launch, when you have got a website, you've got those people who are your followers, you know, and as soon as you've got something to sell, you know, they might jump on it. So,
I think one of those things, as I know for me, when I very first started out, we were talking about like email marketing and things like that, really, was the tech.
Yeah.
But now I do it all the time, and I'm just like, oh, I was even worried about the tech. I had my sequence and everything done sort of in a day, but it's one of those things that can send you into an overwhelm, procrastination, and you put it off and you put it off because of the because of the sort of tech side of it. But I do think a lot of these online platforms are a little bit more user friendly for technophobes, as I used to call myself. I don't call myself that anymore.
No, I don't
call myself a technophobe. I'm going to be a technophobe, aren't I? So I'm just like, right, I'm not that.
Yeah, I had that feeling or that realization about 6 months ago, and I said I must stop to myself. I said I must stop telling myself I'm crap with tech. Because I'm not. I just
because all you're doing is just keep telling your unconscious mind that you don't know. So then that just makes it worse.
Exactly. So when I told myself, actually, I can do tech. I don't want to, but I can do it. I did it, and I got around it, and I mastered it.
Yeah.
So it's really important about the way we talk to ourselves, isn't it? I'm sure that you deal with it all the time.
Yes. Yeah. It's one of my favourite topics.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us today, Sarah. It's been great chatting to you. Guys, it's Thursday. I'm actually away next week. I'm driving to the south of France, so it'll be a bit quieter for me. So I don't have any interviews next week, but I've got some more lined up for after that. So, guys, all that's left to say is enjoy your Thursday. I'm hoping the sun will come back out. I know it's meant to join us again tomorrow for the weekend. So I hope you enjoy your weekend and next week, and I will see you all again soon. Take care.
Bye. Thanks.